Imagine stepping up to your own mansion, the home you've built with years of sweat and sacrifice, only to be stopped at the gate by security guards who sneer, "You don't belong here." That's exactly what happens to Marcus Steele, a black tech mogul, in a gut-punching tale of prejudice, power, and redemption. Buckle up, for Black Man Denied at his own mansion. Minutes later, he fires the entire security team. A 5,000-word roller coaster of raw emotion, shocking twists, and a triumphant stand against injustice that'll leave you cheering. If you're ready for a story that hits hard and inspires harder, smash that subscribe button now to join our community of truth seekers and never miss a tale like this again. Black Man Denied at his own mansion. Minutes later, he fires the entire security team. Marcus Steele adjusted the cuffs of his tailored navy suit as his sleek black Tesla Model S rolled to a stop at the wrought iron gates of his Pacific Palisades mansion. The sun dipped low, painting the Los Angeles sky in hues of amber and crimson, reflecting off the glass facade of the sprawling estate he'd designed himself. At 42, Marcus was a tech titan, the founder of Steel Dynamics, a cybersecurity firm that had revolutionized data protection for Fortune 500 companies. His net worth hovered just shy of $1 billion. But tonight, all he wanted was to sink into his leather couch with a glass of bourbon and forget the grueling board meeting he'd just endured. The gate, however, had other plans. "ID, please," barked a burly security guard, his tone clipped and his hand resting on the holster at his hip. Marcus frowned, glancing at the guard's name tag. Rindal. He didn't recognize him. The security team was new, hired by the property management company after a string of break-ins in the neighborhood. Marcus leaned out his window, offering a polite smile. "I'm Marcus Steele. This is my house. I don't need an ID to get into my own home." Randall's eyes narrowed, scanning Marcus from his polished loafers to the diamond-encrusted watch glinting on his wrist. "Yeah, right," he scoffed, crossing his arms. "You got proof? We don't just let anyone in here." Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd faced this before. Skeptical glances, raised eyebrows, the subtle but unmistakable assumption that a black man couldn't possibly belong in a place like this. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that losing his cool wouldn't help. "Check the resident list," he said evenly. "My name's at the top. Marcus Steele." Randall exchanged a look with the second guard, a wiry man named Greg, who smirked and leaned against the gatehouse. "List says the owner's out of town," Greg said, not bothering to check anything. "You sure you're not lost, buddy?" The word "buddy" landed like a slap. Marcus's fingers gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles paling. He could feel the heat rising in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm not your buddy. I'm the man who owns this property. Call your supervisor," Randall chuckled, shaking his head. "Supervisor's off. Look, man, we got rules. No ID, no entry. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Marcus's phone buzzed in his pocket, a text from his sister, Lena, asking if he'd made it home yet. He ignored it, his focus locked on the guards. He could have called his lawyer, his assistant, or even the police, but the thought of escalating this into a spectacle made his stomach churn. He wasn't just fighting for access to his own home. He was fighting the same tired narrative he'd battled his whole life. Born in Compton to a single mother who worked 3 jobs, Marcus had clawed his way to the top, earning degrees from MIT and building an empire from nothing. Yet here he was, reduced to proving his worth at his own damn gate. "Fine," Marcus said, his voice low and dangerous. He pulled out his phone, opened the property management app, and sent a single command to the smart gate system he'd personally programmed. With a soft hum, the gates swung open. Randall and Greg froze, their smug expressions faltering as Marcus eased his car forward. "You're done here," he said, not looking back. "All of you." By the time Marcus reached the mansion's front door, his phone was already ringing. It was the property management company's CEO, a flustered man named Harold Voss, apologizing profusely. "Mr. Steele, I just heard what happened. I'm mortified. We'll investigate immediately." "Investigate?" Marcus cut him off, stepping into his marble-floored foyer. "I don't need an investigation. I need a new security team. Fire them, all of them. Now, sir, with all due respect, we can't just you can, and you will," Marcus said, his tone leaving no room for argument. "I own this property. I pay your company. Those guards disrespected me at my own home. They're gone, or your contract is." He hung up, his heart pounding as he poured himself that bourbon heat. Ben Craven. The amber liquid burned his throat, but it didn't dull the sting of what had just happened. The next morning, the story was everywhere. A neighbor's security camera had caught the exchange, and someone, likely Greg, bitter about being fired, had leaked the footage to a local news outlet. By noon, it was trending on X with hashtags like #MarcusSteele and #Gate. The video showed Marcus's calm demeanor contrasted with the guards' dismissive sneers, and the internet erupted. Some called it a clear case of racial profiling. Others argued the guards were just doing their job. Marcus, who'd always avoided the spotlight, found himself at the center of a firestorm. Lena arrived at the mansion that afternoon. her arms crossed and her eyes blazing. "You should sue," she said, pacing the living room. "Make an example of them. This isn't just about you, Marcus. It's about every black person who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong." "I don't want a lawsuit," Marcus said, rubbing his temples. "I just want to move on." "Move on," Lena snapped. "You think this is over? That video's got millions of views. People are talking about you, about what this means. You can't just sit here and sip bourbon like it's nothing." She was right, and Marcus hated it. He'd spent his life avoiding these battles, focusing on his work, his success, his legacy. But the incident had cracked something open inside him, a raw, unhealed wound from years of microaggressions and outright discrimination. He couldn't unsee Randall's smirk or unhear Greg's buddy. And now, the world was watching. That evening, Marcus called a meeting with his PR team. They gathered in his home office, a sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific Ocean. His publicist, Sarah Nugent, laid out the options. "You can ignore it, let it die down. Or you can lean in, make a statement. Turn this into something bigger. The public's on your side. Marcus, use it." "Use it? How?" Marcus asked, skeptical. "Tell your story," Sarah said. "Not just this incident, but who you are, where you came from. People don't know the half of it. You're not just a CEO, you're a symbol. You could inspire millions." Marcus leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. A symbol. He'd never wanted that. He'd wanted to build things, to solve problems, to leave a mark through innovation, not controversy. But as he scrolled through X reading messages from strangers who saw themselves in his story, black professionals, immigrants, anyone who'd ever felt like an outsider, he realized he couldn't stay silent. The next day, Marcus agreed to an exclusive interview with a major news network. The anchor, a seasoned journalist named Diane Carter, flew to LA to meet him at the mansion. They sat in his living room, cameras rolling, as Marcus recounted the incident. He didn't sugarcoat it, but he didn't sensationalize it either. He spoke about growing up in Compton, watching his mother struggle, and vowing to create a better life. He talked about the late nights coding in his dorm room, the investors who dismissed him, the boardrooms where he was the only black face. And he talked about the gate, the guards. The moment he'd felt like a stranger in his own home. The interview aired that night, and the response was overwhelming. Support poured in from across the globe, letters, emails, posts on X. A young, black coder from Atlanta wrote, "I saw you on TV, and now I know I can keep going." A teacher in London shared how she'd shown the interview to her students, sparking a discussion about prejudice and resilience. But there was backlash, too. Some accused Marcus of playing the race card. Others claimed the guards were just following protocol. A few even dug into his past, spreading rumors about his business dealings, trying to paint him as a fraud. Then came the twist Marcus hadn't seen coming. A week after the interview, an anonymous whistleblower from the property management company contacted a tabloid, claiming the guards had been instructed to tighten security specifically for suspicious individuals. The leaked memo included a vague description that seemed tailored to Marcus. Male, 3250, non-resident appearance. The implication was clear: someone higher up had targeted him, or at least enabled the guards' behavior. The revelation reignited the story, and now the property management company was under fire. Marcus hired a private investigator, a sharp woman named Carla Ruiz, to dig deeper. Carla uncovered that Harold Voss, the CEO, had a history of complaints about discriminatory practices at his firm. She also found ties between Voss and a local politician who'd campaigned on keeping neighborhoods safe. A dog whistle for racial profiling. Marcus was livid. This wasn't just about two guards. It was systemic, deliberate, and personal. He could have gone public with the findings, but Marcus chose a different path. He bought out the property management company's contract, replacing it with a black-owned security firm led by a former Navy SEAL named Jamal Carter. Jamal's